Okay, hi, I'm Casey and I'm joined here with the king of Arsenal Fan TV, Robbie. Alright, so I just want to ask you a couple of questions on how you actually started up Arsenal Fan TV and why.
Why is basically I'm an Arsenal fan, been going to watch Arsenal for years and years and years, and I basically wanted to start something that would give fans a voice. Because I've always found over the years that you never hear anything from the fans. You always hear from ex-footballers, pundits, experts, journalists, stuff like that. But you never used to hear anything from the ordinary fan that spends his hard-earned money, invests his time and everything, goes to games. So what I wanted to do is create something that would give those ordinary fans a voice, and and also what I used to find a lot of times is that you go to a game, you'd watch the game, and what you heard on the TV from the pundits wouldn't be exactly what you'd be hearing from the fans.
I agree.
So again, that was sort of the whole idea about it. I didn't really have any experience in journalism or filming or anything like that. I just literally got together with a friend of mine, and that's when he said to me, actually, Robbie, I do filming as well and editing. I was like, oh, just brilliant, come on board. And then from there, we've just literally, I wouldn't say we've made it up as we've gone along, but we've learnt from our mistakes going along and sort of built it organically from there.
Because I was going to ask about your equipment. Has that changed over time? Did it start out as just like your phones and then...
Yeah, well actually how it started off is we didn't, not even phones, we borrowed equipment. So
really?
My friend, he worked at a film studio, and the person who owned the place lent him a camera, but it was like the camera we got lent wasn't a digital camera, it was a camera that works off of tape. Borrowed a microphone, and that's how we got started from there. We had my wife's laptop, right? And basically in the early days it was very difficult because first of all, using tape, you got to wait an hour for that just to process down, and then our laptop that we had was very slow, so
it's a long process.
So it was a very long process that we used to spend, particularly on night games. I mean, I know I was still working at that time as well, full time. I'll be getting home 5, 6 in the morning and then having to wake up to go to work at 7:30. So it was, in the early days, really difficult because of the equipment we've had. Especially now, we try a lot to try and use new technology in what we're doing.
So do you find that you are dependent on internet and social media in promoting Arsenal Fan TV? A lot of the videos go viral on YouTube, pretty much every video that goes up, you always see it being reposted on Facebook, Twitter, everything. And I know a lot of people on Twitter follow Arsenal Fan TV and they're always active on it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's been the key to our success, I suppose you could say. We've never had an advertising budget. We have always relied on social media. So we built up our Twitter accounts, Instagram, Facebook, everything. We built them up so that when we get a video out, we can push it through all of those platforms. And now we've started posting videos natively on a lot of those platforms as well. So a lot of those platforms now are almost as big as our YouTube platform. And I mean, it's without social media, without modern day, the modern day ways of social media, a channel like us would never exist.
Do you find it really hard trying to remain neutral when you're asking questions outside the stadium, especially after a game where we've just been thrashed?
It's very difficult. It is very difficult, but the way I always sort of approach it is that it shouldn't be about me. It should be about the person that I'm interviewing. All I try to do is I try to act as that person that can, gets your message across, and also to challenge you sometimes. If you're saying something that, sometimes I agree with people, sometimes I disagree. And even sometimes when I agree with people, I'll still challenge them, because football is a game of different opinions. So not everybody's going to agree with that person. So, but it's about hearing from that person, and and that's how I try to treat it.
Okay, especially with our fans, because they're quite divided, it's their opinions.
Yeah, well, at the moment, the fans are very divided. I think it's a very unique situation at Arsenal. In that, we've had a manager for 21 years. You know, it's just so many unique things about Arsenal. There's no club in the world that's had a manager that long. And you know, you got some fans that absolutely adore him. You got other fans that feel that it's time for him to leave.
Yeah.
So it has created a bit of a divide between the fans. And we're kind of reporting on it, so we have to be honest in what we report. And if there is a kind of divide,
you need to.
It has to reflect the. You know, if we're being a real channel, which is what I'm all about, the realness, then we have to reflect that.
So you have your own YouTube channel, and you spoke about the Arsenal crisis on it. Do you actually think there is an Arsenal crisis?
I think there is a crisis.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. Because at the moment, there's lots of issues at Arsenal. We don't know who the manager's going to be next season yet.
Yeah.
Arsene Wenger hasn't signed a new contract, and he hasn't said whether he's going to stay or go. And
He's just said he's going to be managing.
Yeah, he said I'm going to be managing somewhere next season, so that could be anywhere. So that's a crisis. Do we have a plan to bring someone in if he leaves? I don't see that plan at the moment. Listen, there could be, but I don't see that plan. Yeah. And the club are not really coming out and saying anything about it. Our two best players have only got 18 months on their contract. Well, by the end of the season, we'll only have 1 year left on their contract, which is the critical time. Those are our two best players. We've been not going to win the league this year, which is what we all really wanted to do.
Yeah.
We're out of the Champions League, bar an absolute miracle against. So I think it is a crisis at Arsenal at the moment. You know what I mean? That a lot of the things that have happened year in, year out. The fans are very unhappy. There's a split fan base. So I know crisis sounds strong, but I think there is a crisis at the moment. We are not a stable club at the moment, because especially with the manager situation, we don't know what's happening. And
Wenger recently turned down a manager role as the highest paid manager in China. Do you think that's the right move or wrong move for him?
Listen, I think Arsene Wenger, if he leaves Arsenal, I think he can get top jobs around the world. I honestly think that there'll be major clubs looking at him, even though he's 67 years of age, but he's still a quality manager. Yeah. And I think he'd still go somewhere. If he left Arsenal, he could still go somewhere and do a great job.
Yeah, he could.
I only think that what is with Arsene Wenger is possibly he's been at one place for so long.
He's just got.
You know, you just get a bit stale, don't you? So it's either he needs to bring somebody else in alongside him, or maybe a change is needed even for himself. So
there just needs to be a change somewhere.
Yeah. Maybe the change doesn't even need to be him. Maybe the change needs to be above him.
Exactly.
Because my thing is what I've been saying for quite a few weeks is that I just feel that Arsenal is what I call the comfort club. Board level, it's lovely and comfortable. Money's coming in, top four. We're a big brand. Maybe we're not the biggest brand, but we're a big brand across the world. Players. Mesut Ozil will play for 3 months, terribly off form, but you know you're not going to get dropped. It's comfort. It's comfortable. You need somebody sometimes to come in. So maybe say a new manager comes in and says, Ozil, what are you doing? Actually, you're out of the team. A bit like what happened at Chelsea last season. That those same players, Hazard, Costa, Pedro, Victor Moses, all these guys that were useless last season, all of a sudden world beaters again, because they've got a new guy who's come in and said, I'm not tolerating the performances of last year. They focus again. Arsenal at the moment, it's all too lovely and comfortable, nice and fluffy. We've all grown up with this guy now. I mean, he's been part of our lives for all these years, and the best football I've seen at Arsenal has been under Arsene Wenger. The best, the invincible years, Thierry Henry. I'm still, even in the bad times, even when we're not even winning things, I'm still very proud to tell everybody I'm an Arsenal fan because of the style of football, and that's all been because classy team style of football. That's all been because of Arsene Wenger. Yeah. But nothing lasts forever. You have Arsenal without Arsene Wenger, but that day will come.
Michael Owen has come out with a comment saying Arsenal are the most consistent team in the world.
We're the most consistent team in that we're always up there.
Yeah.
He's always kept us there. There's always been a level that he hasn't dropped below. So I can see where that consistency comes from. But the problem is we're in a game which is about winning as well. We want to win something. That's the difference. Yeah.
So obviously we have to talk about managers who could potentially step in the place of Wenger. A lot of names have been mentioned. Who would you like to see as the next Arsenal manager when the time comes?
Yeah, I like Allegri.
Yeah.
He's the manager at Juventus. He's won the league and he's won the double there last
This
2
season he
seasons.
is.
Probably going to win the league again this
Yeah.
season. He's an excellent manager, experience. I like Sampaoli, that new guy at Sevilla. I think he won the Copa America back to back with Chile. Great style of football.
Yeah.
He's got Sevilla challenging Barcelona and Real Madrid this year in the league. He's done brilliantly. I like him. I like Simeone.
A lot of people
Atletico
mention
Madrid.
him.
Yeah, I love his passion.
Yeah.
I think he's the sort of guy that would remove that comfort zone at Arsenal, get
Definitely.
these players working to another dimension, even though maybe his style's not perfect for what we've been used to, but I think he could do a great job. Joachim Low, the manager of Germany, again, I think it's a classy guy who could come in and really take up the reins and do really well. So I think there are guys out there that could
do it.
that could come in and could replace him. But the appointment of the next Arsenal manager is so important,
Yeah.
because you've got such big shoes to fill, because he has been
He's got a
our
legacy
greatest ever manager, without a doubt. I mean, the day he steps out of a club, they've got to start working on the statue straight
Yeah.
away.
Do you think it's fair to single out players and say they are the reason why our team isn't working? A lot of people have mentioned Ozil and his work rate. You see him walking around the pitch, Sanchez throwing his strops, and they're meant to be our best 2 players. And there's a lot of spotlight on Perez at the moment, Lucas Perez, wanting to leave. Is this fair?
Yeah, well, I think Lucas Perez is he's hardly had any game time, so he's frustrated.
Yeah. And when he gets the game time,
And when he
he's
gets the game
scoring
time, he's
for fun.
done all right. So I can understand his frustration. I want my footballers to want to play.
Yeah.
I don't like singling out players. I like to look on the team as a whole. I think every single one of them, from 1 to the squad players, have been responsible for poor performances.
Yeah.
We should have done a lot better this season, because we've
Yeah,
got a
should
good
have been last
team.
season. I'll say the loss of Koscielny, obviously, in
Yeah.
the Bayern game, and Cazorla this season. It's
Cazorla's been a
blows.
massive loss. It's
Yeah.
been a massive loss. But even so, there's guys that are coming in that should be doing better,
Yeah.
and they haven't been.
Yeah, so I want to talk back about Arsenal Fan TV and the interview with Gary Neville.
All right.
Obviously, that went completely viral on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's got over 1 million views, I think, now.
Yes, but
Yeah.
even like on Facebook, it's done probably about the same. It's been mad and.
Did it go how you expected?
Yeah, I think in a way, yes, because I knew that Gary Neville is a very skilled performer. He's
Yeah.
he's a Sky pundit.
Yeah.
And I knew that he'd kind of deflect away a few of those questions, and he did it very skillfully.
Yeah.
He's very good at what he does. I don't think he answered all of our questions, but then he answered some, and I give him a lot of respect for the fact that he didn't have to.
Yeah, it actually happened.
Didn't actually have to sit down with us and
Yeah.
discuss it. So it was good. It was a good experience. He was a very nice guy. He was a very humble guy. He spoke to us even off camera a lot about his work at Sky and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So it's a real eye opener there. All we wanted, all what I wanted really, is I just wanted to say to Gary Neville that, listen, we understand that you're a Sky pundit, ex-footballer, you do a great job, but have respect for what we're doing, because we're like the new kids on the block when it comes to media. My issue wasn't really with Gary Neville. My issue was with what he said is what quite a few people in traditional media have said, and I've in the past, and I'm like, have a bit more respect for us. That whole interview and everything has really helped to get across to a lot of people in traditional media. Yeah.
How are you feeling before the Liverpool game?
I've got a feeling that we're not going to lose.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure we're going to win. I think it could be. Last couple of times we've been there to Anfield, it's been a draw.
Yeah.
Liverpool, they're rubbish against the small teams, but against big teams they always turn it on. So
What lineup?
it's going to be a tough game, and it's it's one of those games that if it goes wrong, the negativity returns. And
Yeah.
I just want to see some positive vibes around Arsenal right now. So team, I'd go with Petr Cech in goal, Bellerin, Mustafi, Koscielny, Monreal. I'd go Oxlade-Chamberlain and Xhaka.
Yeah.
I'd go Ozil, just about. He doesn't really deserve it, but I still think he's a player that he can turn it on. He can have moments that can change the game. Yep, but he's gonna have to work harder than what I've seen recently. I'd have Danny Welbeck 100% starting out on that left-hand side. If not him, then Lucas Perez. And on the right-hand side, Theo Walcott. And down the middle, I'd go Alexis Sanchez. And Giroud could come off the bench later on if we need him. So that's what I'd go with. Danny Welbeck has to play. I mean, I was disgusted when I went to Germany and I saw that team sheet. And
I expected
he weren't
him to
on
play.
it. I was like, what are we saving this guy for?
I mean, for the fans, they pay a lot to get a ticket. It's hard to get a ticket, and they go all the way to, like, say, away fans. They'll come over to London or even go to an away game. You pay that much, you see a team that's always the same outcome. You just think, do you expect more from Wenger?
But there was one guy who did an interview that day, and he goes, I spent £300 for the flight. I spent £50 odd for my ticket. That's not including all my food and that. He probably racked up about £450 for the day. To see his team get smashed 5-1,
it was embarrassing.
And at the end of the game, that 2 players come over and clap the fans, and everyone go. Now, if after that, what do you expect that fan to say? Oh, it was. No
one's gonna be
fantastic game. It was brilliant. Oh, it was lovely.
You mentioned about 2 players coming over at the end, clapping the fans and that. Is that important for you? Some people say...
But now, the sort of managers of nowadays realise it's quite important. So they'll send their players, they'll be like, go over and say thanks to those fans. And I think that should be a standard thing. I mean, these guys, what does it take?
You mentioned about people asking to take pictures and stuff. Is it weird that you're almost seen as a celebrity now?
It's so weird. It's so weird.
Is it something that you've had to get used to, or are you still adjusting?
I'm still adjusting. I find it very flattering. I look on it, I say, I suppose we do get viewed by a lot of people now. So that's what. And it's not just Arsenal fans. It's like all fans. They all know. So but listen, it's a blessing, isn't it? So I'm not going to complain. It's a good thing.
All right. Well, thank you for taking the time to join us.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No problem.